Welcome to the Symphony of Realities podcast, boldly taking you where no podcast has gone before. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation as you settle into your X, Y, and Z coordinates within time and space. Here are your hosts, Christopher Anatra and Sean Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Symphony of Realities. My name is Christopher Anatra. You know me as the Quantum Businessman. I hope you've settled into your X, Y, and Z coordinates in time and space, because we have another fascinating show for you today with our guest, Yssah, who we'll introduce shortly. And you know me as Christopher Anatra, the Quantum Businessman. And we also have Sean Bond with us today. So Sean, tell us something about yourself for people that may not know you.
Hey, everybody. I'm Sean Bond of the Psionic League. PsionicLeague.com, and we're here to get cosmic and to fly along with shooting stars and see what wishes that we can bring to the collective in fulfillment and completing the puzzle of why things are the way they are, what each meaning in our skies shows us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, as always. Well, as Chris has already introduced me, my name is Yssah, or Yssah, you can pronounce it as you wish. And, well, mostly what I can say about my labor, about how I deliver and convey the message I'm here in the earth to plant, well, is related to the primordial gen of the humankind as a cosmic race, to unfold all that galactic DNA that is pulsing, and that there is a very specific way to do that ignition. And that relates us, or one of the relations is through the Isis code. Isis, moreover, than just an Egyptian goddess, as how she is known, or this cosmic being from the galactic community, because it's a very important code. And that's the beauty of this reality, you know, that as how I work with a lot of codes, like the one behind me. And this is a beautiful way to connect with this holographic reality. And then you can see that in one name, there is a universe, a whole universe. And the more you go beyond those letters, the more that you can connect with the essence of the message. So bottom line, one of the essential messages of this Isis code is the primordial gen, and all this knowledge regarding to the origin of the humanity as a cosmic race and everything that involves.
Awesome. And as Sean said, we're about to go cosmic. Because we're going to talk about the Green Comet and wherever that else leads us to. But again, for some people that don't know you, I know you spent a lot of time in Egypt. So right now you're based in Mexico, but you spent a lot of time in Egypt. Tell our viewers a little bit about what you've done when you've traveled to Egypt.
Oh, sure. Well, one of the main reasons that led me to Egypt was remembering, putting together a lot of information that I had already consciously, and that I was already aware about. I just, it wasn't in order. So when I felt this pulse in my heart that was calling me all the way from Egypt, then I went. And it started in an adventure that was twice a year, like going from Mexico to Egypt twice a year. And then until I stayed for 2 years. And in those 2 years, I was living at the first stage in front of the pyramids, literally. I had the Sphinx as my neighbor, and we would have morning tea every day. And then I moved to Luxor, just in front of the desert as well, in front of the Jebel Lahmar, which is the Red Mountain. And throughout all my stay, I was setting an order to all that information, all that genetic information about the human origin, and how that started to lead me in a like quite intense scale to all the astronomic and astrological features of how the human hologram was designed, and the importance that every interstellar system has, and that influences precisely the human hologram. How, why, and also another very important fact that I another important reason of my stay in Egypt was connecting to the underground consciousness, like related to all these underground etheric cities like Delos, Agartha, Asgard, Shambhala. Well, the more like around these mountains, and even the pyramids were also considered like encoded as mountains. Like Da Vinci would refer to the plateau as Ros Tau, which is Taurus. And also even in the, he would refer it to the mountain, like in his scripts, he would refer to the Grand Pyramid as a mountain. And in the main entrance of the pyramid, the original one, actually, there are two diagonal, like two angles, like the hieroglyph of two angles, which means precisely Taurus or Apis, and which also connects to Hathor, and which is also related to the mountain, to the Lady of the Mountain, which also connects us to another lady whose name is Damkina, which is more related to the Sumerian, let's say, cosmogony. And all this is related to the primitive stage of human creation, to the genetics. So it's all related. And for me, being in Egypt, being in the desert, being in front of the pyramids, being in front of the Sphinx, of the mountains, would be diving in and remembering all those archives, all those codes that are embedded in the human hologram and in very specific parts, and that tuning into the frequency of the cosmic egg related to the gen Isis. That's why this is a very important code. This is why I was saying this in the very beginning. We see that if we just take Isis as a frequency, this frequency is in the Genesis, in every suffix for a lot of medical words, as a suffix for primordial beings. For instance, the Basilosaurus Isis, which is the first form of whale that have been found in Egyptian desert, in the Wadi El Jitan, to be precise.
Did you say whale?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, you go to Wadi El Jitan, and then you see fossils of whales, even mermaids.
Interesting.
And yes, pretty interesting. And the first form of whale, as how the paleontologists have considered, is Basilosaurus Isis. And if you see the fossil, it's a dragon. well, it's a dragon. It has this humongous tail, like water dragon, with 4 legs. 4 legs.
Okay.
And so for me, how I remember it is, of course, the dragon, the water dragons were the first forms that then evolved into whales, what we know as whales, you know, and that would be actually a form of completing the whole cycle constellation wise if we take like Polaris, well, not Polaris, but Draco and the Ouroboros and all that connection, and link it to Cetus, which is the whale.
That's
As
really
the
fascinating.
yes, yes,
Okay.
as the 14th zodiac sign. I must mention it. I know we're not
Yes.
talking about it, but this is something I'm bringing in the field, and it's very important. So yes.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to put links into your YouTube site and other videos that you've made where you talk about those 14 zodiac signs, so that people can kind of get an idea of what you're talking about, that because you're bringing in some very important knowledge that not a lot of people are discussing at all. And I believe that was discovered in the Temple of Hathor on the ceiling.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
then
even in Dendera, exactly. And I believe that when Napoleon sent his savants to start investigating Egypt, they saw the significance of that, and I think brought that back to France. But that's another story. But it's all very fascinating.
Yes, it is. It's a universe, a multiverse, actually.
Exactly. And on your YouTube channel, you have some beautiful, I'll call them toning or music type things. You've gone into different temples, and I believe people can listen to that and get activations just by listening to some of the work that you've done. So I believe that's on your YouTube channel as well, or some of them are.
Yes, it is. It is. And thank you for mentioning that as well, because those frequency and in relation to this sonolocation is one of the capabilities and the assets of the human hologram. Because, for instance, when we talk about the pyramids and all these structures, it's the sounding, the acoustics, the hypogeum in Malta, the frequencies that they generate is like, if we do this without needing to go to all these structures, of course it amplifies, and it's another impact within the molecular structure of the body. However, if we are every day tuning into our own pitch, into that note that allows to restore all our molecular structure of water, then like reality is much more easier. Because if we're saying that we are just energy, we are energy, frequency, and vibration, and if we get to tune into our own decibels, our own, like through our own sounding, then it's, you know, it's being who we are, our full potential. And these frequencies are not only, you know, like singing la 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 la, you know, like just to say some. Of course, some of them they are,
Right.
but they are translating some formulas regarding to quantum physics. They are embedding some quantum physics formulas within the frequencies that I have decoded and sang them.
Makes sense. Sean, before we start getting into the Green Comet, did you have anything you wanted to say based on what Yssah's been talking about so far?
Oh, I just love hearing it. It's very enjoyable. You got a nice tone to your voice as well. Been coming up with things, but yeah, we can just go right in the comment.
Okay, excellent. So
Work behind you. Did you make that, by the way?
Yes, yes, and it's based in the 15 Bebenian stars. Well, actually on this side. The Bebenian stars, for those who don't know, there are specific steady stars that in the ancient civilizations would be used in order to trace the point where they would be building the structures, like the temples, well, so-called temples, and for other things, even to navigate in the ocean, in the sea, and for more complex endeavors, like designing reality from the holographic field, you know. And on this side, there are some codes related to the Isis arc. Being the Isis arc, this concentration of information regarding to the human origin as a cosmic race. So each code is embedded in a specific part of the hologram, and it unfolds specific codes within the RNA and points in the brain regarding to the neurogenesis.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, thank you for asking.
Okay, for some of you that may not know, we're going to talk about the Green Comet. And the other week, I was tuning into the Green Comet and created a short video about some of the things that I was getting from it, including it being a starship parked in orbit that comes by the Earth, as we know, about every 50,000 years, Lyran crew on board, and you're able to trade different types of crown technology for something called higher mind technology, intelligence technology, and astral constructs technology. So if you haven't seen that video, I kind of go into a little bit more detail about what all that means. And then Yssah as well has been tuning into the Green Comet, and she kind of brings things from another angle. And we want to hear what you have to say from what you've discovered so far and from what you've tuned into about this Green Comet. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, about 24 hours ago, the Green Comet, today's February 2nd, about 24 hours ago, it made its closest approach to Earth, where it's actually happening right around now. And then after the 3rd, it's going to be kind of zooming away. So we're actually creating this video while the Green Comet is closest to Earth. So yeah, so tell us about what you've been discovering about this Green Comet, Yssah.
Speaking about thinking, well, thinking, sensing, and well, thinking into the somehow thinking into the depth of the universe, you know, becoming one. Well, the Green Comet, there are many things to comment about it, and mostly, I think that the most evident thing is that it has the last time that it orbited close by the Earth's field, it was 50,000 years ago. So that's one aspect. The other thing, I mean, putting them together. So then we have this this number of 50,000, and then we have the fact that the green, as the frequency, that as a color it emits, it's oscillating in between the 550 Newton Nm or Newton meters and the 550. Then we have 2. Then if we relate it to another interesting factor, which is that the heart is pulsing in 528 hertz. So, well, I mentioned 550 nm. It's around 527 to 550 nm. So it's in between the range of 528. So then we have the 5, and the 5. And 3 numbers like 555. So what is this relation? Well, relating to the comet having 3 tails, or there you have it, you know, like 555. Now, if we go to a numerical value, you know, like numerology, what's the 555? Then, like basically, like just simplifying it, it represents deep transitions, deep impact transitions, which is what is happening right now in the Earth, in the humanity, like as a reflection within and outside, to say it somehow. And then also very important and interesting factor is that when we see the 5 as decoded in gematria is the numerical value given to the letters. So when we translate this gematria into the Hebrew alphabet, then we see that the 5 or the 50 in this case is Nun. Nun, which connects to life, to fish, to water, and even to the Messiah, as how beyond the common connotation given to that word. Okay, so, and also if we then translate the 50 into binary code, it's an 8. And this 8, it's also related to the very same Nun and to the Christ, to the Christ consciousness. So then if we relate all of this, then we have the Christic consciousness related to the particle of light, which is an X, which is the tree of life. If we have the tree of life, like the hologram, the structure of the tree of life, the geometry, and we multiply it by 4, like in 4 angles, in 4 cardinal points, then it generates the particle of light. Then it generates the Templar cross. You know, like that's why they use it. So putting all together, all of this information together and bringing it to the heart. And when we see that this green comet passing by 50,000 years, the last time that it passed by the Earth's orbit, it was 15,000 years ago. So then we have the frequency of the heart pulsing. Now, in relation to what you were commenting in your YouTube video about the Lyra and being a spaceship from Lyra and the feline beings, galactic beings, I was mentioning the beginning of the video, the human hologram. So the human hologram, as how I remember it and as how it existed, is the communion of all the zodiac holograms or the stellar codes. And not only 12, but 14. And if we connect to which part of the hologram the lion, Leo, would represent, is precisely the heart. This is why in other embedded codes like Arthur, Lion's King, Lion's heart, is because there were encoding the fact that the hologram, the stellar code of Leo, is placed in the heart. No? So that's a big point of connection. The heart, the green, the lion, the beginning, the water, and the Christic consciousness. Because right now, if we are putting all these words together and create a story, then we can see that if we relate that our origin is the water, you know, like everything started in the water, in the primordial waters, as how in Egyptian culture or Kemetic culture they would call it the primordial waters of chaos. And then this beginning, this initiation, right now happening actually in the beginning of the year, well, we can say, because it started the 12th. Today, started yesterday. Yesterday, the 1st of February, a very important alignment started in between what I call the Fantastic Five, which is Nemesis, or as how I say it, Nem-Isis, again, another code. Chiron, Juno, Jupiter, and Divda. So Chiron, we know it by now that it's connected and it's related to, like astrologically, to the inner child and this profound opportunity to connect with these deeper truths from the childhood in order to transcend them and use them as a power, as a tool. Then this asteroid is very important. This asteroid is very important. Another one, Juno, which is connected to the primordial feminine, being this potential energy in its pristine form, capable to give the force to restore anything that is meant to be restored in order to be in harmony, in a harmonic order. Jupiter, then, it would represent the kinetic energy, this masculine force or primordial force, again, bringing balance in order to ignite and fusion and merge these two forces. And then we have Divda, which is the beta Ceti of Cetus, again, the whale, water. So all this relation, because now Cetus, throughout the next the next 7 years, will be very present in all these astronomical and astrological events. And I will show you in a little bit some charts so that you can see what I'm talking about. So then we have these 5 aspects. And Nemesis is known as, or is, it has been, let's say, it has been given the idea that it can be the sun's twin sister. A twin, a dwarf star, brownish, reddish star, dwarf star, that orbits around the sun and the sun around it every 26 million years. So every 26,000 million years. So here we have a very important number, the 26. So this 5, again, 5, it's very present, the 5. If we go to the 5 as a pentagon, being the form of the protein, we can see that also we can use the frequency, that green frequency connected to our heart, to ignite that vibration within each protein, coding energy for our body, within our DNA. From the holographic field, from the quantum field, we're capable to take 1 unit and multiply it infinitely, consciously, however we choose to, embedding any code we choose to. So let's say that now that this green comet is bringing something, it's bringing information. It's bringing green information within a specific frequency that we can know by now that it's connected to the frequency of the heart, and that we can relate that frequency to our proteins, and that we can relate that frequency to this alignment in between these 5, this fantastic 5, to transform anything we need to transform regarding to the informational field of this 5 presence. Something very interesting is that Nemesis or Nem-Isis, if we decode the etymology of that word, Nem is the highest point. So the highest point of Isis. So the highest point of the primordial gen. So now, when Nemesis is orbiting right now close by Cetus and all these conjunctions that are happening, the Copper's belt, all of these asteroids, starts to have Nemesis starts to have an effect on it. So then some asteroids can come into the field. And that's what has happened right now. You know, like that's one of the possibilities that we can say about this green comet. Not saying that it's an asteroid, but also saying that the movement that is generated in between all these 5 elements, amplified by the force of Nemesis, and then within this algorithm that is showing to us something regarding to the 555, it's just happening right now, bringing all this information to open up the heart and to update the DNA and to tune it into this frequency.
Yeah. You know what? As you were speaking, you reminded me of something that I've spoken about. I have this, I created this light language heart opening video presentation to help people open their hearts, and I speak light language in it. But yeah, the heart is green, right? That's the signal for the heart. And one of the things I talk about is that when we begin to like evolve to the next level, it's almost like our brain has to make the 12-inch journey down to our heart. So Comet with crown technology, do you want to keep that in your brain, or do you want to be able to unify both hemispheres of your brain and be able to bring that into your heart? So now your thinking is from the heart and everything becomes heart-based. So I thought that was, as you were talking, I'm like, that was a great connection that you made, because now it makes sense. You don't want to just you don't want to be just super intelligent or just have higher mind intelligence, but you want to be able to take that and integrate it into your heart. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for mentioning this, because yes, the lion is the king of the jungle, so it has a crown. So the crown, where does it go? Here.
Right.
So
right.
It's the point of connection, the crown chakra and the heart chakra. And also, if you see, the crown is normally it's normally symbolized with 5 points. Again, with 5 points, with 5 jewels. And it's also connecting, this is something very important, to Monoceros, the unicorn. But I mean, I'm mentioning this because there is something like regarding to this holographic information and configuration and holographic design of the Adam Kadmon or the human hologram. And there are very important cubes. I was speaking about in relation to the 3 tails of the comet, and then the 3, the 555. And there are 3 very important cubes that will be appearing as an interstellar coding or stellar codes. And one is related to the Monoceros cube, or as how I call it, Monosiris or Osiris, because it has another code, which it leads to another story, but
okay.
And another yes, otherwise I will and then it has also the Pegasus cube, And the last one is
Pegasus? You say Pegasus cube?
Pegasus cube. Yes. And the other one is in the area of Aquila, Sagittarius, Ara, and Ophiuchus. And this cube actually is all these. They are known by the ancient knowledge as the altars or as God's tables. You know, so now in relation to the head and the heart and the importance to bring this connection, the connection, not the disconnection, the connection in between both of them is, I don't know if you have seen representations where in your brain you put a cube. It's a cube. It's a cube, it's a sphere, you unfold it, and then you have the pyramid actually going in your cerebellum. And then in many parts of the brain, you know, they are replicated the pyramid. So I'm bringing this up because the following alignments that will be happening in the earth for these 7 years, they are not only related to Cetus, they will be related to these cubes.
Do you mean like the tesseract concept of a 4-dimensional cube?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
These cubes, the more we are aware of them and place them in our hologram, the more we are igniting the cubes that are underground. Like as how we have heard about the solar disks and the Aten, you know, like this orb generator of energy of the arcs and the pyramids. Well, there are also these cubes underground. And in very specific points, I'm pretty sure that you have heard about this cube, for instance, in Antarctica, and we can see them, for instance, in Petra in Jordan, and like they call them the gene cubes, and we see them in the Kabbalah, like the Kabbalah cube, and in the Kaaba and the Islam. So they are connected to something. What? Underground, precisely. And all the devices underground are already started to ignite, are already started to begin to pulse,
Okay.
to restore a specific frequency within the beam that is aligning to the Earth's nucleus. And I don't know if you have heard that they have said that the Earth's nucleus has stopped now.
I have heard that. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well,
it stopped spinning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not just right now. It started in like they say that they have proved that it started in 2021. It's something progressive. It's not just all of a sudden, like everything. And if you relate all the features that have been happening, like I remember that we were talking about the other day about the ship spinning, and then you have like different, I don't know if you have heard that there are some aquatic animals that have going to the shore, like sailfish, jellyfish, and octopuses, you know?
From the magnetic field, yeah, changing and flipping, and yeah, exactly. They get confused.
Exactly. And if you assume, if you add all that, the Earth nucleus to the magnetic field, to the local fluff,
The
you
local
know,
fluff, yeah, the local fluff. Yeah,
the
we're
local,
actually in like a type of nebula, but yeah, the local fluff, exactly.
yeah,
And
yes,
are we exiting from it? You know, that's the other thing too. Are we actually beginning to leave the local fluff? So different concepts with that.
yes, exactly. But if you, for instance, if you put all this together and then you connect the comet and everything that is happening, then you can see that here the frequency is being aligned. You know, there is something. It's like stopping in order to restore to the original frequency that actually aligns and generates coherence to the cosmic pulse, you know? So all these factors coming together lead us to know that throughout the following years, there will be, this is just a like how I see it, how I perceive it. It's a space, a gateway that is opening for 7 years, where we will be merging with our wholeness. I will share a screen if you're okay with it.
Yeah, I just wanted to get Sean's input real quick, because
Sure.
you spoke, I mean, for those of you that are listening and have stayed with us so far, we've covered a lot of different subjects. We talked about Nemesis, binary star system where our sun is orbiting another sun, you know, all these different factors related to the Green Comet, the Tesseract, the Hypercube, etc. But Sean, is there anything that you wanted to mention or talk about based upon everything that we said before Yssah gets into some of her presentation?
Is because my stuff is on the Green Comet, so do you
Yeah.
want how much?
Yeah.
Because I got a lot of stuff. Do you want me to how much do you want me to go into?
Okay, why don't you
First, do it? How many times do I have to talk, essentially?
Okay, so how many different items do you have? Like at least 10 different items you wanted to share?
Yeah, more than that.
Just share 3 of them for now.
Okay, yeah.
Your top 3, and then we'll get into what Yssah has to say.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you guys, do you, since it's like a 50,000-year orbit, you know, like is there images of the orbit that you guys got or anything like that?
I mean, they do present something online, but they're not even, they say it's approximately 50,000 years. It could be 55,555 days. I don't know. Yeah, it's just approximately.
Yeah. And the ship thing, like for skeptics out there, yeah, is the spiritually there are things that can anchor into asteroids and comets and planets and other stuff, and then influence them in direction in like the slingshot effect of orbits between solar systems, and how when you track back motions of these cosmic bodies, they're extra dimensional ET race that anchors into a hunk of rock that then is able to turn into something powerful as a base. There's many layers to dimensional tech, space between atoms. So we may not be just referencing like a physical 3D ship for those people out there. So there's a lot to that it does, and I agree with you guys with what you've said, and like with Chris with the mental stuff. I read a lot in that. The mental body actually center points in the heart, because the super consciousness is priority and closer to the origin of all thought and mind and spirit. And we have a weird body, I mean, that like processes things with the 2 hemispheres of the brain, and the ego, and all these other sections of brain for different processing. But yeah, it's supposed to center in the heart, so there's a lot of stuff with the green. What other aspects of the green that come out with it? There's a lot of things people can gain from interacting with this. The heart green aspect has to do with mind, lucidity, accessing the Akashic record, divine mind or divinity for mental body, the heart library that comes from with the super consciousness. So there's a lot to that. I tune into like the 3 tail things and what that effect does. It seems to be like a cold light generation that has interesting physics that most people on the planet won't really go into, but it's like having a flame and flame magic, but like with the cold spectrum of light production towards an intention. Most of it that I read, like I agree with Chris, has to do with the mental body. It seems each tail, one tail has to do with releasing mental limits and remedy of those. One's has to do with mental blocks and remedy and release of those. Mental matrices as well is the other one. Its purpose coming in now seems to be busting mind control systems, busting mental enslavement,
Right.
and causing it's kind of like a micro macro of as above so below for neuro-linguistic programming or a neurosynaptic pathway forming in a giant highway of astral tech in the solar system. I don't know if that's three, but you can do another one.
Before you do one more, just about the tail. So the comet is green. It has a blue ion tail. It has what's called a ruddy dust tail, and it has an anti-tail. And just having an anti-tail is pretty rare, but to have all three tails is very rare for this comet. So just wanted to throw that out there. But I'll let you do a couple more, Sean.
All right. So it has the things on it besides what you went into with your show is it has an astral library in it. This astral library has the accumulation of, it seems to have been other places before it got in this solar system. So I read it slingshotted between at least over 100. That's what it's allowing me to see, or at least share publicly, over 100 solar systems before this of data and knowledge it accumulated. The commerce it gained from the gridding highway of the Astral and everyone that wanted to get involved in that and their libraries. The materia of the comet that seems to origin from some type of planet that's associated with the Lyran colonies. So there's a lot of knowledge in there. There's a school that people can go through, the mystery schools. I also another question, you guys can ask this whenever. I answer this whenever I get, and then I'll go after you guys talk. What are your guys' experiences with the mystery schools of the stars? There's a few people go into these with different mystery schools, occult groups, magic schools, and like Solarians, the White Brotherhood. There's a bunch that will go into like, oh, there's different school systems in on this planet in different realms, as well as in different stars, our sun, different planets, and you can go through each one and graduate and go through like astral experiences or bilocating there or downloads of various types. There's different methods people have for gaining the knowledge and intaking it to the conscious mind. What's your experiences with the celestial schools?
I just wanted to mention that before we started recording, Yssah was mentioned Vega, and something had happened to you. Do you want to share that with everyone about the star Vega?
Sure. I was actually doing some configuration with the sun in the morning as I woke up, and one of the stars that came precisely was Vega in Lira. It became like very intense in the field. And then I watched the video that you sent to me, and then I said, oh, okay, I can see the relation clear and neat. Yes, the lion, the felines have been very present for the last couple of years. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm sure Vega has its own mystery school. You may have even gone through it when it came into your field. Yeah, gained some abilities from that.
Yes. Well, now that Sean was, if I may, now because Sean was mentioning as well very interesting things, and for instance about and what you linking it to what you said about the three tails being something very unique. In the October 14 of 2023, there will be a hybrid eclipse that will only be seen in the Yucatan Peninsula. And by hybrid eclipse, we are saying that it will have the whole manifest phases of the eclipses possible at once.
Wow.
So then we have this factor of things coming together, which is precisely what for me these 7 years is all about: facing the wholeness, unifying. You being that embodying the unified consciousness, seeing your wholeness, inhabiting. And this is pretty related to the mind and heart, because while I was in Palenque a couple of weeks ago, and the message is very clear. We can know it, not all, but we can know a lot of information. However, it's just information if it's not given sense through the heart and then embodying it. Otherwise, we become just libraries, What do you want? What do you need to know? Okay.
Exactly.
Here it is, here it is, here it is. Then there is, but then what happens is that there is a lack of a leak of energy. Why? Because there is no coherence. It's just, there is no embodiment, then there is no coherence, then there is a leak of energy. And that's what humanity has been facing, like a leak of energy. And right now, through all of this, if we are saying that three tails coming together, for all the phases of a eclipse coming together, all the planets coming together in March through Cetus orbit, then it's showing to us that it's time to embody the wholeness, the whole information through all the bodies, like the whole mastery, not just the thesis, like just going to the field to get some action.
So that eclipse you mentioned in October, will that be seen over Chichen Itza in that area? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people will be traveling to Chichen Itza to experience that there.
Well, I will be there. I don't know if precisely in Chichen Itza, but I will be in the Yucatan Peninsula. So maybe we can arrange something.
Cool. We can plan an adventure trip.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you for that little bit of an interruption. So now I want to go back and have you share some of the information you have from your presentation.
Yes, sure. Because this is like in relation to the Green Comet. Okay. Here is this is the thing that with my technology that I was talking about.
Oh.
This is one of the things that is going with my technology. Okay, so this is a spaceship that is a icosahedron that I have designed, and it's related precisely to the green and being a spaceship. So I just wanted to mention it. And okay, here is the chart for March, and well, this is not, but here we have Nemesis. The thing is that there is going to be, as how I said, today, since yesterday, just when the comet reached its highest peak in the field of the Earth to be seen. Now there is the alignment of these 5 elements, as I mentioned, which is Nemesis, Chiron, Juno, Jupiter, and Divta. Okay, so then today, since yesterday, we have this, the alignment of these 5 elements, okay? So if we relate that, which is Divda in Cetus and Nem Isis, all this goes through all the way through March, and you can see how all these elements are in the part above, all the planets coming together. You see them. You see all that movement in March, and throughout the next years, it's just getting higher. Well, this one note and higher. Look at this. Look how they are compressing all the planets. How all the planets will be compressing. Look how they reach in the 2024. And this has to do with the constellation of Cetus, which is present and which I am sure it's very related to the comet that is happening that is passing by right now, because everything from the unified field, everything is connected. So you can see all these planets. It's 21st of March of 2023. Look at them, all of them, in 1 week. In 1 week. So can you imagine what energetically, look in 2024.
Oh, wow.
It's happening in Cetus. So, and as I told you, Cetus is in the connection right now. It's very present as the comet is passing by. That whale. And we can see how throughout its transit in the ecliptic, in the solar ecliptic, what's happening? You know, all these planets. So energetically, what this represents, you know, energetically, what does this represent? It's bringing all together, bringing them all together. So it's bringing in the wholeness, assuming the wholeness, mind and heart. And this comes from the Atlanteans to Lemurians to Hyperborea, on all of this. So let's imagine that the comet, the Green Comet, what it's bringing is the flare that it's starting. It has just started. And it will go all the way to 2030, which is also a very important year that has been commented for several reasons, you know. And there will be also very important alignments by 2030 regarding to these very same planets and asteroids and stars.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you. The first one is those charts you were showing. What do you call those charts? Are they constellation charts? Like how would you describe them?
Astral charts.
Astral charts.
They use it for the birth date. You know,
It's the same
you
one
can
for that.
consult
Okay.
them. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So my next question is, what do you foresee happening until 2030? So, you know, we're in 2023. That's like, we've got 7 years. Do you see like some landmark dates like 2025 or in getting up to 2030? But what, if you were to look into your crystal ball, what do you think you'd see? We're not gonna hold you to it, but I'm very curious about what your thoughts are.
Well, look, I've been sharing very important information with Carly, who you know her. It's an amazing astrologist. Actually, she has been helping me, supporting me with all the charts and her
Carly,
wisdom
yes.
knowledge.
Yes.
And well, we have found very interesting things and connected to the Mayan culture and how they had embedded all these codex, as how they call it, the Bactun 14. And for instance, in 2012, Uranus finished its transit in Cetus. No, started. I'm sorry, started. And now in 2023, the 23rd, the 23 of 2023 in January, it finished transiting Cetus. Okay, so that opened a huge gateway to what the informational field of Cetus represents, which is a constellation that was unseen and that holds the codes for the torsion to happen, which is what is happening in the Earth's core right here, right now. If there is not a torsion, then everything collapses. So the very same thing of the energetic pulse of the Earth shifting, that's a torsion. So if the human hologram doesn't acknowledges the informational field of Cetus regarding to the torsion, then it's going to be, you know, like torqued, because it's not complete. There is a leak of energy. There is an energy leak. Okay, so that was the gateway. Now, with the comet happening again with the presence of all these factors, and then Jupiter, it starts its transit. And something very important, the last time that Uranus was transiting Menkar was when the Second World War started.
Interesting.
So that's the intensity. Of course, there's not the same level of consciousness in humanity, so there cannot be the same result, bottom line, you know? That's why things are happening differently. So now Jupiter starts transiting Cetus for 1 year and 3 months, and it will finish in 2024. So what's going on, what will be happening right now, which I can share with you guys, is that, and everything who is watching this transmission, is that throughout Cetus, there will be a compression of information within all the planets. And this will lead to many things merging and other things collapsing. By 2026, which 26 is a very important number, by 2026, there will be an alignment in between Neptune and Saturn, which represents institutions collapsing. Okay, so I have had a few people that have asked me if I think that the end of the world and the flood will be happening in 2026. Then we go back again to 2012, you know, when they were thinking. So yes, there will be a lot of natural phenomenon going on, not not at the scale of the Earth being destroyed, you know, or humanity disappearing. Not yet. So 2026 will be a torsion motion, torsion point. And then from 2026 all the way to 2030, there will be a preparation, a space to choose for a deep choice. Because in 2030, there are very interesting things happening, which is that this is a very important quote that you will love. In 1959, there was a book written that the title is 1984 by Orwell. And he talks about all the structures, all the systems, and how they can be influencing and manipulating humanity, even for what turned out to be the New Age. In that very same year, Uranus was transiting Monoceros, Lepus, the rabbits, and all the constellations there. And now it will go back in 2030. And in 1984, Uranus started transiting Ophiuchus. We know Ophiuchus, the 13th zodiac sign, that there is a lot of people talking about it, and it will go back in 2060. So in 2030, there will be a lot of astrological movement, a lot of astrological movement, including the cycle of Nemesis finishing in Scorpio in conjunction with Jupiter. So that will be strong. That will be strong. And there will be a lot of things that in that level, at that scale. So it will be very nice, and it will be very interesting to see how this next 7 years unfold, how humanity holds to the information within, how it's dealt with it, and because everything will be amplified for until 2026. Then there will be a space to breathe, to get your things together for what happened until from now to 2026. Like, shake your tails, and then receive 2030 like in the most coherent way possible.
I think I would summarize what you said by saying that until 2026, make sure your seatbelts are fastened, your seat is in the upright position, and your tray tables are up, because it's going to be for sure.
Yes, it's going to be all right. And
Yeah.
you can see it right now, the preparation for the comet to happen. You know, all the technological things that have been like functioning in a funny way, you know, the time, how is happening, how is showing itself, you know, how one's dealing with time, how people is collapsing through their own structures, not knowing what's happening. You know, it's like, imagine how I see it is that the local fluff, the photons, the field that it is emitting to the electromagnetic field of the Earth in communion, because right now the local fluff, it's also by the black hole, the closest black hole to the solar system.
Okay.
In Sagittarius. So
Okay.
then you have two very important forces there, interacting. And then also astronomically, there are opening gateways, like in 2025, to the photons belt in Alcyon. There is an alignment, a very important alignment in between Ophiuchus Cetus and the photons belt in Alcyon.
You say the photon belt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Imagine there is a photon belt surrounding Alcyon, and this is one of the major factors that have been emitting informational field to the Earth for the human hologram update.
Right.
The thing is that with all the interferential field of all the technology, let's say that those emissions have partially been reaching the human hologram. So that creates a partial update, and therefore it's like you're disconnected without the full battery being charged. You know, so then it's like, what's happening? You know, like it doesn't feel complete, you know?
Right.
So then that creates confusion. that can create like a sense of confusion, because this reality of simulation is created of interferential waves, which actually is very interesting because the hologram within this simulation reality is based in 3 colors: blue, red, and green. So we can use that very same green.
RGB. Yeah, it's for like
Exactly.
old television technology. Yeah, and monitors.
Exactly.
Yeah, RGB.
And we can use that green on our behalf, to summarize it with the green frequency from the comet that is bringing in resonance with our heart. So imagine the photons belt emitting, and now merging with the local fluff, having a specific range due to the place that it is located in with the black hole. So then you have a very interesting cocktail going on there. And then what the Earth by itself is going through its nucleus and its energetic poles. So then you connect all of that, and then you have movement in the Earth, therefore movement within, or movement within, therefore movement within the Earth. And on the outside, the impact, of all those forces going through the interferential wave field of the technology.
Yeah, and based upon what you just said about the photon belt, I just want to read something to everyone that I just found online, but it says, according to the latest discoveries in astronomy, our sun is moving into a photon belt, or belt of light particles. As we move deeper and deeper into this photon belt, it would seem we are moving into the age of light, described in many ancient prophecies, as well as by the Mayans.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's all connected. All these things that you're talking about. One thing's connected with the Green Comet's connected, and this is connected, and Isis is connected, and yeah, exactly.
Well, now the Green and the Mayans, the Mayans embedded, because they knew, because everything is simultaneously coexisting. And for instance, they embedded very important codes with the jade, or the jadeita, in their structures, in very specific structures aligned to very specific constellations. So if we like construct the hologram, and then we see that the comet is passing by, having a specific frequency, it's going to activate all those green anchors mainly. And if we as a humanity are conscious or are aware of this information, then we are emitting as a grid all that connection to the Mayan, in this case Mayan codex, of all those anchors aligned. Then it's fortifying that level of consciousness, that fifth D, to say it somehow, or fifth 5 scale, evolutive scale of consciousness, right here, right now, So, because for me, this is also how I see the Green Comet activated all the green codes within the Earth. And if people is not conscious or aware enough of this, then it's going to cover, boom, or feel it like a tsunami within, like feeling palpitations within the heart or something, but
Right.
not using the full potential. If we are aware of it, and if we place the energy where it belongs in the axis, which is oneself, which is I am, who you are, each one of us, then we take the full potential and we surf the wave.
Okay. So so mentioning again, talking about the Green Comet, Sean, was there a few more things that you had tuned into that you want to share? Because it might be appropriate for how we're getting back and talking to the Green Comet again, and how it's the beginning and helping us start these activations.
Sure, got a lot. Yeah, that was wonderful to listen to. So thank you.
I think
Okay, let's see. Where is it? Yeah, it's got a mental astral library. It's got a school like people. Oh, that was the thing I wanted to ask you guys. Yeah. Oh, and feel free to go into it. I'll ask it at the end of my thing. Okay, it's got this mental blast accumulator type of cannon thing. It seems to accumulate a whole bunch of energy and then build it up and then blast it in a direction every the short it's got multiple modes to it. It's small blast that it does usually the most often. It takes 30 minutes for it to build up and then it blasts. So it blasts something every 30 minutes. It has a blast, its biggest blast would take, it takes 3 hours, and that's if it has something big it needs to do. And really anything mental, astral, of any pretty much any capability of intention it's able to do. So people can utilize that, and they can trade with the collective to utilize that in ways they see a benefit. It's got again this astral highway that it creates everywhere it travels through space, and it's linking that in spiral with the rotation, and it's kind of like setting up a big it's astral, but like somebody will imagine something setting up and building a highway in the dream space, and then it kind of like making a connector between places, and it seems to make a nodal point chakra every 100 miles with generator and communication hub and other things to it that beings can access if they're going on throughout the highway to find their way. This seems to have a lot of functions to travel throughout the stars for different spirits. Okay, then it's other purposes that I'd recommend people engage in a magical ceremony tonight, or the next 2 days, for which if you integrate stuff from the comet, which you can either do through meditation for maybe an hour, or take a nice bath, and whatever amount of time you can to soak up the energy with the opportunity you have. What it can do in purposes is bust through mind control. If over 500 people get involved in this, then it can make a huge impact on the mind control systems around the planet. It will still have an impact no matter what. It's going to be interacting with everyone, even if they aren't aware of this stuff or not. It's going to be affecting them. It does more things with consent, but it's already got everyone's higher selves consent. The higher self is doing stuff constantly to increase evolution for pretty much everyone on the planet. Then so it can bust through a whole bunch of mind control. It looks like if nobody did anything, it would bust through like 50% of the mind control on this planet. If over 500 people got involved, it might go through a whole bunch. Though I'm not holding my breath on getting rid of all mind control, because there's predators that stole authority for mind control and are wanting to replace that if it gets undone. So it would have to also take out those sources and bring them to bring the original authorities for mind control back to wholeness, which could also be done in this amount of time, depending on how many people get involved in this. It might take a few 10,000 plus to 20,000 people if they wanted to. So spread this information around. It's like change the future.
Wait, hold on, Sean. So like if 500 of us took a salt bath in the next day or two, we could have a big impact.
Yep, or meditate. Yeah, exactly.
Or meditate.
So and you'd release. So here's all the impacts you'd have and the purposes you'd be doing through working with the comet. You can bust mind control on yourself and the planet and the human species. Free people from mental enslavement. It would, everyone could get, what I'm reading right now is if over 500, which with our audiences we'll probably do. So, and then we can go for extra credit with how many people want to get involved in this. So please do be a part of this meditation. You can get, every person can get over 100 times more brain power, 100 times more psychic abilities, energy and systems throughout their body flowing. 1,000,000 times faster awakening would happen on the planet, which, you know, again, with all this, it sounds really nice and like, wow, there's going to be some big stuff. Even if all this happens, the dark chess has a chess move that they're willing to throw a bunch of their systems into the fire to keep mind control on this planet going. So it will kind of be like a big rays of light, and it will force the dark to try to counter that. So there'll still be a chess game going on. So, you know, but like our ultimate goal is as a species to become immune to mind control, which this will speed the shit out of that process up. So no matter what with whatever the dark does, it's going to be some progress. So you can earn 1,000,000 times faster awakening can happen on the planet. Whereas then that would make the dark want to put more sleep energy on everyone. But yeah, there is some immunity gain with that. Can earn mental body divinity from this comet because it has a bunch of authorities with that there. 3 times more lucidity to truth in this dream. So if you've ever been lucid dreaming and how you just know things and can do more stuff, that will open up here in this dream. Akashic library of, you know, all the libraries that the comet has syncing up and downloading to your knowingness library in your superconsciousness in your heart. The source of all mind is also people in Buddhism called the, and they called it the original mind, beyond all illusions of the self. So you can do missions and communicate with that original mind, source of all mind, and earn and learn from them and gain closeness to forming that state of alignment of getting rid of all layers of added on crap to the original mind that we have, that we classify as the ego. As that clears to the original mind, there's a lot of unique abilities that come out of in reaching that, with how people describe it in the mystics in Buddhism. If people want to sync up with this in meditation or bath, you'd amplify all those gaining functions. All you have to do is meditate, see a light in your heart and a light, like imagine the comet, the Green Comet. And to make it easy, you can like overlay that on over with the light of the heart as you focus in the center of your heart. And your goal is to make your light in your heart brighter and brighter as it syncs up with the image of the comet, seeing that get brighter and brighter, and they get both brighter together. And your goal is to intensify that with bliss, love, acceptance, excitement, and like making it so that it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And you can, like, to make your light brighter, you can let go of all weight on the heart, like taking off weighted coats, and fill with love and focus on that center of the heart as you breathe deeply into it, like fanning a flame. And as it gets more brighter, you get more joy, love, happiness, bliss, and excitement. And you feel the light turning on brighter and brighter. That will amplify everything you would be doing with the comet, to where it as it gets brighter, it empowers the comet to then empower you with its magic. Yeah, and then let's see what we got. So the more people that get out there and also share this video, the more united, the more that comes back to you too, and the entire planet, and it will shift the timeline greatly and get rid of a whole bunch of mind control. Also reading with the cycles of everything, like what might have happened 50,000 years ago and all that. At least with a read in effect, the government is going to take a huge hit in like big wound, the negative aspect of government. In origin of government, as I've said over and over again, in Latin, govern means control, and ment means mind. So it's mind control. So the system of the subconscious, as above, so below, and government is like that central control point for the mind, and it's claiming ownership of that. So any negative systems around that and limiting from its pure state of being of what it should be is going to take big hits. And the more people united, the more hits it's going to take. So,
Sean, would you say that the government, at least the one in the United States, is broadcasting that mind control from the Washington Monument, for example?
Yeah, you'll be able to find the different systems of sacred geometry buildings throughout our society and other society, and what are the drawing parts of the circuit board, like the roads and various chemical formations like asphalt, and then projectors or containers. So like, yeah, I'd say the giant phallus is like a wand, and then you could probably see other types of geometries that also focus and then point. It's mostly to make it like a wand, because you want to accumulate a whole bunch of energy before you release it, like with the Oval Office, and being like the womb, or the feminine energy.
Yeah, and if you look down on the Washington Monument, for example, there's a Vesica Piscis symbol that surrounds it from the roads that are formed there, and that's that kind of using recycled energy over and over and over and over again. So it is definitely something to that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Most of the time, I see energy the government's using to mind control people coming out of those obelisks, or Hollywood, and through movies and stuff that people take through their senses and brains as a way to link, news, airwaves, mind control, the HARP frequency devices, the cell phone towers. Those are the type of spelling kind of energy. You were going to say something?
Yes, because now that you mentioned that, everything that you're saying is pretty interesting. And now that you mentioned the Vesica Piscis, is that I was just sharing yesterday, because for me, one of the most important codes regarding to the human hologram is the true order of the zodiac, which is Pisces being the first, not Aries, yet the first. So when there is a distortion, a gap generates. And in that gap, that leak of energy, people who is unaware of that, then it's going to put their energy in that, and then it creates a super powerful cocktail. When the truth is within, then there is no leak, because the hologram is complete. So even the two fishes, like going in different direction, this had to do with the chirality or chirality, because this is one of the biggest codes. When you put like the handedness, when you put your hands like this, then they are symmetrical. When you put them like this, when you try to put one over the other, then it's not symmetrical. So that's the thing with the fish. The fish are paired, but if the fishes meet, then they generate the center part of the Vesica Piscis, which is the eye. I can show it in a bit, because I don't want to go too deep on that. The thing is that this is even talked in ancient textbooks, that when the fish, that was a seal, an energetic seal, the fact of the two fishes going in different directions and not in order. So that generates one of the biggest incoherences in the human hologram. So when Pisces is acknowledged as the first sign, and that the year starts actually in March, as the spring does, then all the anchors set in time, and therefore in matter, then they dissolve. Because what's the 6 related to the matter? It looks like a woman with a womb. So just in one number, boom, anchored, you know, and then the unconsciousness repeats, the unconscious collective repeats it and replicates it and replicates it, you know. So, and that's one thing. And the other thing regarding to the heart and the technology, what you were mentioning, Sean, about the technology, you know, like pulsing and anchoring unconsciously. If we go through the blue, the red, and the green, the red on the sexual chakra, so-called the sexual chakra or the genital chakra, and the blue. So going directly, boom, 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 unless you set another purpose and then you configure it otherwise. The thing is to acknowledge the wholeness within, you know, so that all these, for instance, when you were saying about 500 doing something at what time all together, and then the effect will amplify. I was just I was just yesterday, you know, like thinking everything starts with a thought, you know. If we set our purpose in a specific thought, in a specific way, we focus our energy there, not trying to compel any force, not trying to battle, not trying, no, just what do you want? Where are you heading to? What are you up to create? Okay. In resonance, in full resonance. Okay. Doing that. We would manifest reality like this, but it's about compromise. It's about compromise. Yes. And, you know, this is major because the wheel. One day I was walking and some beings with serpent coats told me the strength of a warrior comes with the temple of his heart, the templance of his heart. That's where the strength resides, in the templance of the heart.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like everything centers in the heart. If all space and time didn't exist and it all collapsed back to a singularity in the perspective of the conscious mind observer, that singular mind, the original mind. I also read that it's not at full power, so we can empower the shit out of this comet to be even more effective. So it's 1 out of 10,000% of its power, so it can then it might chat back to you and blast you with a telepathic message if you any person that wanting to sync up with this. Also, like, people like to wish on a star it's moving, so like shooting star stuff. I agree, this is actual technology people can do and trade with the comet, with their higher self and initiation. It's best, though, to do the things that the comet is actually able to do and function and with its capacity. So this one's good at everything to do with mind. Seems if you were to wish for something, it would be able to give you good ideas fairly easily. So like, oh, I need a really good idea for this business thing. You could essentially wish on the star for that. On mental things.
That's cool. I like that.
Yes. Yes. Well, there is a lot of, for instance, while you were saying that the heart is the one that picks from the field, from the lattice, the information, I agree, you know, it's like the one that receives first the information, that senses it, like that's called intuition. And then it goes right to the insular lobe in the brain. And then it starts to generate relations and, you know, according to the senses, to the 5 senses. So if we, before getting there, you know, to all that perception relation to the memory, when it's in its pure state, then it would directly go to the pineal gland, to the pineal body, and start generating neuropeptides, which is what we are all doing, because I know you, Chris, are also, like testing with the brain as I am doing with the quantum hologenesis, like, because we are capable to do that, so just knowing the right order, done, and then, and even they are like simultaneously happening, that moment of creation, of conception, where everything starts within the body, is through the first organ that generates as a fetus. And the last one that, like, it brings you to the most dense state, and it also takes you to the most sublime moments in the body.
Exactly. And getting the pineal gland activated, they say that there's little crystals in the pineal gland, and then getting your cranial pulse more activated so that your cranial sacred fluid is flowing into those key parts of your brain and activating your pituitary and pineal and so forth. I think all these things are going to really start happening almost naturally as these frequencies start coming in more and more.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, when the spinal fluid is done, we can actually stimulate what we choose to put in that cocktail, like where to, and yes, and one of those things is precisely the DMT.
Yes, DMT is going to be very important for us to be producing more of it, so we can begin to see into the unseen. And I think it's called our reality translator, so that as some of us start to get our reality translators going, we'll be able to see more of the truth of what's out there. So yeah, and DMT is a big part of that.
You know what? You want to know, guys, something very interesting about viewing? Do you know how blind people draw? They draw in geometries.
Interesting. Interesting.
The pure form.
I've often wondered too, like, how do someone that's blind, what do they dream when they dream? Like, what do they see? So those types of things are interesting.
If they weren't born blind, if they've seen images, then they will see what they've seen, kind of in form and physical. I've interviewed a few. If they've not been, if they were born blind, then it's harder. I haven't really interviewed a person that has been blind at birth, so I don't know, but that would be good to ask.
Yeah, because you wonder if they would see colors.
They do, because the spectrum of light, the waves, how they reach the other senses, then it translates, in a very simple way. That's why they can also picture geometries, because they are connecting directly to the lattice without the interferential field.
Makes sense. And I know sometimes for myself, sometimes I've seen, well, I call the sky and everything above us a holographic projection field, etc., filled with consciousness. But sometimes I've seen clouds, not as clouds, but as sacred geometry symbols floating in the air. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's just so much that we're going to be discovering over these upcoming years, that for anyone that hasn't discovered them yet, there's going to be a wonderful world of adventure. Despite the chaos of the world that might be happening around us, with the negative elements of governments and so forth collapsing, I think we're on to a beautiful new world.
Me too. And we were saying, like, when buckle up, it's like I am deeply enjoying this time. I am, I feel very grateful, and I can see how it's making a difference. Actually, that moment when the difference is made, when the transition is made. So, and everything is based on perspective, you know, like in resonance or what, how you perceive it, how you live it, how you experience it.
How you're
Right.
vibrating, exactly.
Yes.
All we gotta do is we got past Agenda 2020, and then all we gotta do is get past Agenda 2030. I haven't heard of Agenda 2040 yet, but maybe that, who knows? And like, just to like finish up on some other stuff, I read that you can, if you impress the Comet collective enough, you'll probably end up bilocating there. They can initiate that, and you can then meditate into a perspective of that part of yourself there, and they'll probably be having a conversation with you and teaching you some stuff and integrating a whole bunch. You don't have to be super conscious of it if you don't want to. It can be more of a meditative, relaxing, healing the mind type of thing, but you can also talk to them. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add to what you've tuned into with the Comet?
I don't, but I just want to thank everyone for listening to this conversation. This is about like the amount of time we set aside for a podcast. And Yssah, I don't know if we got to everything you wanted to talk about, but is there
Well,
anything important you'd want to express?
mostly shown to, if speaking about unity, like if you want to also add into Sean's and yours suggestions, because if whoever is watching the video, if you want to also add this image, which is a code that I have translated, and precisely it's the point of where the comet emerged, and so it's a map. So if you, to your wishes and to everything that you are connecting and emitting to the comet to receive that very same feedback, well, this is that, let's say it's a code that is emitting order, harmony, and precision. And it's connecting, as I said, to the point of origin of the comet and the stellar codes around it.
Probably.
It's almost like the concept of a crop circle. When you look at it, you get a download. And I feel that everyone that's looking at this is, whether you realize it or not, you're getting a download of information. And this is one of your special skills, Yssah. You're able to put this information together visually from the downloads you get. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's like a portal to the information of focus you have while holding, and you can feel it emotionally.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well, may this code enrich you, and as a reflection of the greatness in each one of you, and as it has done for me. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So, Yssah, what's the best way that you would recommend for someone to follow your work? I know you hold classes, etc. Where do you recommend people to go to?
Well, I'm just about to open my webpage. Until that moment, you can visit my Facebook page or Instagram. I share there my email, and then you can write to that email to receive information about all the courses and methods that I am facilitating. And my pleasure. Yes, it's related to everything that I have shared, and managing it or having it through codes, which is a very simple way to unfold that information within. Yes.
Yeah, and I think everyone that's been listening to you knows how deep you go into the subjects. It's not surface level. You go deep and you're connecting dots that people may not have even known about before. So, yeah. So Sean, tell us what's going on with you and how people can reach you.
Yeah, I am working on online classes and meditations with you, Chris, and got
We are.
yeah,
Finally.
got these video products going, and that people can get on my site, psionicleague.com, and more free videos up and interviews, Psionic League YouTube. You can contact me for consultations and all that, and eventually working on events that I'll be having. I think I was invited to one in Las Vegas, so in September, so we'll see what's going on with that. But yeah, how about you, Chris? How do people get a hold of you?
Well, right now the best way is I have a Facebook page, I have the YouTube channel, Quantum Businessman, and I also have a web page which I'm in the process of upgrading, and that should be available in the next couple of weeks. You'll see a new web page that comes up for me. I'm doing sessions. I probably am going to be doing 4 or 5 a month. I've been having a lot of people request them. Right now, if you were to go on to my site, you would see I don't have any sessions available, but every so often I'll add 1 or 2. So if you randomly visit, you'll see something comes up. And those sessions have been really awesome because I could, I get your permission, I could read into your Akashic records. Sometimes people give me a list of questions they want answered, and I can read into getting those answers. And so far, everyone I've done a session with, boy, I've met some really cool people, really soul family cool people. So if you're interested in that, check that out as well. I know, Sean, you do sessions as well.
Yes, and like my phone going off. And yeah, healing, release your pain over distance. Chris and I trade a whole bunch of abilities. I'm looking forward to looking more into your work, and yeah, I've actually, because I do read Akasha records and soul and data and all that. I have read one client a while ago. I read that they shared spirits with a comet, and so apparently that can exist.
Okay.
Yeah, or like pieces of like a planet and realm and stuff as the main spirit, and so like reading into that was pretty interesting, and their capability to link to it, and then the empowerment of it, and getting it back up to full power, and what that can do for it from a distance. So, and even if you're not a comet, you can still interact with these celestial consciousness elementals for your divinity and ascension.
All right.
I can be more explicit now that I've listened to you guys.
Okay. Now
I want to share a little bit more.
Go ahead. Definitely.
You inspired me.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to but yes, more precise, because well, the source code actually is how we met. That it's the expression of your own sacred geometry. Let's say your cosmic DNA, like your cosmic fingerprint. And when you have your source code, your own, it's the uniqueness within your uniqueness within the unit. So then you open up to your own universe, and through your own universe, and then unfold everything you want. For instance, now that Sean was mentioning, like, to connect, that gives one specific result. Now, if you unfold that intention by consciously unfolding your own geometry, then it's opening your own universe. So the result is even more precise, because then you manage coordinates, you manage specific algorithms, that are already embedded in the geometry. So that's one thing. And another thing that right now I'm delivering the courses is quantum hologenesis, which is precisely that spaceship that I showed to you, delivered in a specific way through navigating through specific maps in order to activate your brain in a very precise form, in very specific points. And also some courses regarding to Egyptian topics like decoding the Neteru and then data space time table, like using all these codes, all this information as quantum devices that you are interacting with them, so they work as oracles, you know, so then you can receive information from those devices. And yes, and books that a book that I'm going to now translate it in English, and the frequencies that you kindly mentioned, Chris, and Claude soon. So that's why I mentioned, like, once the web page is finished, like next month, then you can dive into the Omnivision Omniverse.
Beautiful, perfect. And if
Cool.
anyone's looking at your name on the screen, you've got HUNUH. Do you want to
Yes.
explain what that means?
Sure. HUNUH, which is the frequency of the one. You know, when you write it, it's an algorithm actually. The H representing two portals, and it's a wave. Okay, so I don't know if you yes.
Oh, I
Here.
see how you've drawn that. Okay.
And you disappear.
No, you're not.
It made me disappear. Okay.
Cool.
Here it says HUNUH, which is a quadrangular wave. And here with an angular wave, you know, here. So when you put it together, it generates a portal. And the frequency of the solo word, it's
I think you went so high pitched we can't hear you.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, the thing is that it's a frequency that unifies. It's the wholeness. And in the book that I have written, I have decoded through 10 sounds in very specific symbols that when you translate any word in that alphabet, let's say, it creates frequencies, even written. They're just frequencies. So it's a form of light language, as how it's known.
Okay.
And the frequency, it unifies your field.
Beautiful. And I know in some of your YouTube videos, maybe you can give me your YouTube channel so people can find them. They can actually hear the frequencies, because I do hear, you know, when you went into the temples and so forth, you're using that same type of frequency. Yeah.
Yes, sure. It's Yssah, like it's written in the screen, YSSAH space ARZ space LIB.
Got it. And I'll put the link below. So
Yes.
easily click on it.
I just wanted to say that the articles are saying with this comet, it's making its closest approach to Earth since the age of the Neanderthals. So I was like, oh, well, what happened to the Neanderthals? I was like, well, they seem to have gone through some conscious evolution of some type. And this comet also has a mystery school. It's accepting applications to divinity of mind, which goes into that greater awareness. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for being a part of this. Please meditate and integrate for tonight and next 2 nights if you can. Share this information all around, comment below, like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, and spread this.
And meditate and take a bath and think about the Green Comet. Yeah, we need 500 people. We can do it.
We can do it. Yes.
All right, everyone. Until next time. Thank you.
Thank you.